Hey, brother, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm tremendous.
Stupendous?
Thank you for asking.
For asking?
Yes.
Well, no problem. No problem at all, brother, man. Yeah. Glad to hear it, indeed. I'm also doing quite well. Yeah. Just another Monday. Feeling quite stuffed with dinner. Got kombucha and a nice little Voodoo Ranger with me here. What you sipping on?
Very nice. I am sipping on the love of comic books, metaphorically speaking.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, buddy. I'm going to need you to sound a little less Reading Rainbow.
I don't think Reading Rainbow ran anything like that. That'd be too confusing for the kids.
It probably would be, yes.
Yeah. You probably heard this, or at least you've heard this initially.
What's up?
The rumors are circling back again now about, casting rumors and all that. There's always casting rumors of some type or another going around.
Half of them got to be from the damn production studios themselves. Just like, hey, let's get our social media stats up.
Yeah. Maybe like feelers, or at the very least, it's coming from people who aren't supposed to tell, but they leak this shit anyway.
Right.
Where they be like little mixer events or whatnot. They get a few too many cocktails on them and shit starts to slip.
In other words, what Q means is they go to these cocktail parties. All right, who's going to bid the most for this information? I see 500 going to the back once. Okay. Oh, 700. It's
in a roundabout conspiratorial way, I wouldn't be surprised if that's maybe part of the reason why some of these journalists maybe skew their scores or their takes on these movies, because what we know for a fact is that, like, if these movie critics, if they shit on something that they think deserves to be shat on, then chances are they won't be invited back to the next big thing.
Of course.
And that kind of hurts their bottom line, So while I hate that they have to take that approach, I understand it from like a financial point of view.
One, we're not even 3 minutes in, and here we are talking about conspiratorial bullshit from Planet Hollywood, not the restaurant, just Hollywood in general. Two, I fully agree with that because let's look at it. Let's be the third party looking down on the entire game board from our viewpoint, right? So you as production studio make a product. It happens to be a shitty, lazy, just quick turnaround product because we're just trying to sell ad time, make a buck, get the box office for a weekend, whatever the case.
Right.
You as a reviewer see said product, tell a company, hey guys, BuzzFeed.com or whomever the fuck, I don't know, whoever reviews out there, Red Tomatoes, Rotten Tomatoes, Red Tomatoes, V8 Tomatoes, not sponsors, nothing of the above was sponsors. V8 Tomatoes goes to your theater, says, I'm going to review this goddamn movie, and they review the movie and find out, wow, this is a steaming pile of shit. They go back, they say it's a steaming pile of shit, and wouldn't you know it, the production studios is like, well, why did we invite you to go to this theater to watch and preview our movie before release? This is no. I don't want you advertising that this was a bad movie because we want the cheap, easy-ass money. So, of course, the movie theater loses that business. But then the reviewer, much time thereafter, all of a sudden is like, oh, we didn't get invited back to this production studio whenever they came out with a sequel for that piece of shit. Oh, why didn't we get invited back? Oh, that's right, because we called it a piece of shit. So, literally, on the game board, you are lessening the profit for everybody involved. The production studio, the reviewing company, and even the movie theater themselves, whenever you say, no.
Yeah, I mean, especially like if you're a reviewer who's respected. If
exactly,
you have a big enough platform.
Like V8 Tomatoes.
But I guess in their pseudo defense, like that's a conglomerate of different reviewers whose opinions get posted there.
True.
But yeah, so it is kind of bizarre. Like it's a bizarre dance that's being done because they assume that their reviews mean something to people, when in reality, people kind of look at just numbers, like however number did this
4.8 out of 5.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and instead of looking at or listening to like the in-depth analysis of what did or didn't work for said movie.
In other words, what Q is saying, whenever you Google search a business and you see that their reviews is 4.8 out of 5 stars, you're already like, oh, cool, that's pretty good. Do you every time click into the reviews and actually read statements? Fuck no.
Yeah, I mean, because like it could literally be like this: a 4.8 out of 5, and you're really looking for said business, whatever it is, and you look into it, and you don't even look at it, but like the review could read something just like this. It could be like, "Oh man, so I went to said business, and man, they had excellent service. They gave me exactly what I wanted." And they had really quick turnaround time, and again, everyone there was so nice and friendly. All I had to do was sell my soul to Satan.
Way to bury the lead. Yeah.
4.8, man.
Yep. But you best know if you Google search that thing and then something else pops up 2 out of 5 stars, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna go there at all.
Yeah.
You go to the review and it's literally like, oh, these guys were awesome. They were really good, except they brought my water and forgot the ice in the water.
Yeah.
Or some dumb shit like that.
Or it could be like, for like a gym, like, man, there are way too many meatheads here. And like, I actually had to work out.
I just went for my Instagram profile. I didn't really go for working out.
This is not as advertised.
We're calling out businesses left and right. We need to get started or else we're going to be bastardized. Right. We're going to be those bad reviewers who are out of business. Who am I kidding? We already are out of business.
Bullshit. Can't put us out of business.
That's because we never asked for that business.
That's technically true.
You're welcome.
But the reason why I brought up like all this in the first place is because the rumor mill has started back up again.
Oh yeah, you about to say something actual,
about potential casting for the obligatory or the X-Men movie that's going to come out some point in the distant or near future.
In that case, I definitely don't believe whatever you're about to say, and it's totally just going to be like well-placed feelers. But yes, I'm ready to hear it. That's my theory, and I'm very, very confident in that. Indeed. But yeah, what are you about to say? Let me hear it, because it's like I haven't even heard shit about an X-Men movie besides the fact that we just know they're going to eventually do one because they have the properties now. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
So the rumor has come around again that Giancarlo Esposito has expressed extreme interest in playing the role of Professor Xavier. And months ago, we spoke about this because we knew that he had been talking to Marvel. And this was in lieu of Marvel announcing that, yes, the X-Men are in the works. And so, a couple of internet sleuths, us included, started putting 2 and 2 together and wondering, I wonder if Giancarlo is going to potentially try to position himself in a role to play Professor X. And now here we are, and he's saying that is a role that he would really like to play. What do you think about that kind of casting?
Oh, no, I mean, if it's legit, that'd be awesome, dude, Yeah. Of course, it comes from Hollywood, so I'm very skeptical. If that makes me sound like an asshole, I semi-apologize. But
I mean, so that second portion comes from him saying that he would really like to play the part.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I'd be down for that. Honestly, like his acting chops are so good, it would be weird for me to see him play a good guy. That's the gimmick. But
that's kind of my only hang up with him, because I'm like, even like his calm demeanor face is intimidating as hell, simply because of the roles that he's played before, and it's not very common that we see him play the good guy. For those of you who don't know, he's probably most well known for playing Gustavo Fringe from Breaking Bad, and I'm sure that more of you Star Wars nerds probably have seen him recently in The Mandalorian as Moff Gideon. Gustavo Fringe is up; he is on the dark side. Even more so.
For those of you who are video gamers out there, he also played the main villain in Far Cry 6.
Yep.
Unlike Q's impressive ass, I do not remember the actual villain name of that guy in the video game, besides the villain guy in Far Cry 6.
Yes. But I think that for him to be cast as Professor X, I think that would be that would be phenomenal for multiple reasons. One, like you said, he's such a great actor. And 2, because this would really give him something to chew on, because he would really have to kind of work to not portray himself as,
Yeah, he needs to be warm. He needs to be empathetic. He needs to be like, Charles Xavier. Yeah.
But then how do you juxtapose that with the times when Charles is kind of menacing, like the times when Charles does get upset, And then it's like,
oh, let him be a bad guy for the scene. All right, and you're back to yourself. Go. All right, cut. Perfect. One take. We're done. Go back to the good guy scenes. Okay, so this is what you're doing. No. These are your students. Yes, you like your students. Okay. Yeah.
Did you read the script? And then that got me thinking about something else, and that is months ago, also.
Many months ago.
Many moons ago, once upon a time. We also know, and man, there's been radio silence on this, and I'd be really curious to see if anything came from it. But we know that months ago also, somebody else who was speaking with Marvel was Denzel Washington.
What would he be playing?
Well, the current, and there's nothing to back this up, but the current rumor mill is that Magneto. Denzel as Magneto. Kevin has his inquisitive face on right now, his thinking cap.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, first of all, I think that similar to Giancarlo Esposito, it would be a very fun challenge for him.
Yeah, I can see a lot of like that John Q energy coming at it. Yeah.
In parts.
Mm-hmm. In parts. But still, I see like, especially for the emotional scenes, those parts, like the proclamation scene.
I see a lot. I mean, and gosh, I of all people hate to make this comparison, but I see a lot of his performance as Malcolm X coming through.
Okay. Okay, that sells. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of righteous indignation there with the character of Magneto.
Well, there is kind of a poetic irony to that, Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this being Magneto of all people, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay. So first and foremost, I am of the camp. I'm of the idea. I think Magneto should always be Jewish, but that's just me.
That's where my brain went to. Yeah. I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And
and for those of you who are of the idea that, well, for anyone to be a Holocaust survivor, they would be like 100 years old now. I would like to point this out to you. The man can move and manipulate metal, but in your mind, he cannot have longevity. That is very interesting.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, so if they don't want to go that route, if they don't want to go the Holocaust survivor route, then they would have to replace that with another trauma that leads him to becoming, the leader of the Brotherhood of Mutants. Mm-hmm. And what trauma would that be? This is one of the few cases where it kind of does depend on like what is the ethnicity of the person who you're casting.
It does, and that's because the choice that they went with originally for Magneto, in the original storytelling, was such a prominent one because it was a social statement. It was based off of real life, actual happenings, and not just a fictional world. Like my parents got shot in an alley in a fictional city, versus this actually happened. This is based off the real Holocaust, and that itself is such a powerful tragedy, such a bad one.
And for me, I think it's more to the idea that like it's less of. I mean, yeah, it is definitely like this is a real event, but it's more of this is a real event that happened to these people.
Right. Exactly.
Whereas like anyone. This is kind of a scary thought.
I was getting to that eventually, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say anyone's parents can unfortunately be shot in an alley. It doesn't really matter whether you're with your racial background is, your parents can get shot. But as far as like Magneto's
things
origin
to take
goes,
away from tonight's episode.
Yeah,
Please don't let it be that.
let it be that.
Nope.
Next time your parents go for a stroll, keep that in mind. All right.
Jesus Christ. No, I get it because like that's a tragedy that does have a certain body of people, i.e., the Jewish population, that it affects. You know, and yes, there is historical facts that proves that the Holocaust was not only focused on the Jewish population.
Right.
I don't know enough about
true.
history to go down that rabbit hole. I am not qualified. I will not try to be. But in this case, that is the most prominent and most well-known history in the world when it comes to thinking about like, oh, this is the Holocaust, this is what it was, and all that.
Right.
So
I mean, because like in all fairness, like there was definitely a population of black people who also suffered severe ramifications during the Holocaust. It's not spoken about a lot, but
I mean, just by that alone, it technically could work.
Yeah. It really just it depends on where route they want to go. But I'll say this, like that one, albeit major hurdle aside, like how Marvel will want to handle that. I think that Denzel would. I think he's a great choice. I mean, because he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And I like the idea now of Marvel potentially using these bigger names to fill these very prominent roles.
Exactly. Especially prominent roles that we had better see in multiple movies.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be cool. Yeah. But that's also the problem too, is that you can't skimp on the pay to these guys.
I was gonna say, that's
another big hurdle here.
Well, I mean, is money really a hurdle for Disney?
Yeah. You didn't hear? Yeah, no, there was actually like legit news about this. They're closing the Animal Kingdom, dude. Like
Really?
they literally like took a chunk of Disney World and said, this dead.
Really?
Yeah.
They're closing Animal Kingdom. I did not hear about that.
Yeah, let me look it up
wow.
real quick. Yeah, give me a sec.
Shit.
Go ahead and filibuster me while I'm doing this, please. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I knew that like they had taken some hits since the pandemic, and I mean, even in the movie department, I know that they had taken some hits. But for Disney to lose money, at least from their like theatrical side of things, is very different from other studios when they lose money in the theaters. Because, you know, for example, what I think like Black Widow or Shang-Chi and the Eternals made somewhere around like 400 million a piece, something like that, 4 to 5 million, 100 million a piece, which for most movies is a super success. But for Marvel movies, not so much, because they're used to nearing that crossing that $1 billion threshold. And so while I recognize they didn't make as much money as they wanted to in Phase 4, I thought that for sure they still maybe made enough to cover, you know, I thought they still, you know, made enough to, I guess, kind of cover their asses. But hell, what the hell do I know?
Yeah, right here. Speculation says that Disney World will close its 4th theme park in 2024. Yeah. Just kind of clicked on an article. So it's not cemented. Okay. By that wording alone, you can tell that it's a rumor, right. You know, and that's fair. That's fair. We don't know if that's a fact, but we do know that, and this is, again, based on the article. I'm not a stocks guy. I don't know the stuff as impressive as this article says and will make me sound like I know it. But we do know from this source here that the Disney stock has taken a 44% drop, which is fucking intense in the stock game, dude.
That isn't. I knew that they had taken a drop. I didn't know it was like that.
That is big. Like, you don't want to take no 44% loss in nothing, especially when you're as big of a conglomerate as Disney.
So the thing that kind of had me wondering about like the internal state of Disney was, you know, a few months ago when they fired Bob Chapek.
Yep.
Just out of the blue on a Sunday night, just up and fired the guy, and then rehired Bob Iger. And listen, I am of the camp of I don't champion either of those guys.
They're both Bob.
They're both Bob. They're both super rich dudes who I don't know, and they never give me money. I don't give a damn. But the reason why I never championed them, is we may have spoken about this on the podcast, but I view them like I view the president, almost like in the United States.
Oh no, we've had this conversation, just never on mic.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's like
I agreed.
Yeah. You have a president, and it's like a new president comes in, and how much of the old president's bullshit does the new president have to kind of resolve, and how much of what we're experiencing with the new president is the new president's fault? Mm-hmm. I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking know either.
But the cool thing is, Kevin, there apparently are millions of people on Facebook who do know, and Twitter. They all know.
Oh no. Thanks for tuning in for our commentary, folks.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, and this is probably another conversation piece, this might actually be a really fun episode to talk about, but apparently Disney Plus has still not turned a profit.
Really?
Nope. Not even.
So I'm trying to, because I'm not trying to cape for Disney, but like I don't know how long it takes for a streaming service to make a profit. Like Netflix has been in the red for fucking years, right? So like with most of these streaming services, I don't know how easily they do turn profits. And then also the thing that I hate is that numbers can be so easily manipulated to make it look like a good or bad thing. But with all that being said,
yeah, dude.
I don't see.
It says here that they lost $4 billion with the streaming service. They're expecting, and maybe this is kind of touching a little bit of what you were just discussing too, regarding like streaming services and how long for them to both take root and eventually start growing with their users to really make that money, But they are saying that they think they can achieve their goal in 2024, which means that's not even this year. That means, in other words, that they can actually make a profit in 2024, because up to this point, it has not been done. Yeah.
So, and that always makes me wonder. It's like, and that is like the double-edged sword.
I'm sorry, correction. Streaming itself has not lost $4 billion total. That's been Disney as a collective. Mm-hmm. Streaming has lost $1.5 billion. So,
wait. You say streaming has lost...
Disney Plus has lost $1.5 billion.
Okay.
Yep.
So streaming as a whole...
No, Disney Plus has lost $1.5 billion.
Okay.
Yes.
What lost $4 billion?
Disney altogether.
Okay.
Like Disney the company. Excuse me, that might have been unclear. Let me clarify. Disney itself as a company has lost $4 billion, and Disney streaming, Disney Plus, has lost 1.5 of that $4 billion. Indeed. Okay. And the Disney assassin that has come and kill my ass for exclaiming all this.
It's going to be the mouse himself.
It's going to be the... Oh, I told you to shut the fuck up, Kevin. Oh.
I'm just going to be like in my bedroom, like pulling my sheets up. Like, I don't want to hear this. This is going to
be... What are you doing, Mickey? No, Mickey.
A single tear rolls down my cheek.
Jesus Christ. Mickey comes, like, knock on her door. So you're going to be a good reviewer, aren't you? You're going to be a real good boy, aren't you? Aha. Isn't that right?
Yes, Mickey.
Or else I'm going to send Pluto and his friends on your ass. It's like, Jesus Christ, Mickey.
Everything is 8.0 or higher, Mickey.
You're goddamn right. Now say my name.
He Breaking Bad's me.
He Breaking Bad's you. Yeah.
Shit.
He also tells you, oh, by the way, you got to go back and review Ragnarok again, motherfucker. Mickey, that's old news. I don't give a fuck. I'm Mickey Mouse. Ah.
You just killed my co-host.
I'll have him replaced. Every Monday night, you get some asshole who comes and clocks in and goes like, so what Disney product are we reviewing tonight? You're like, oh, well, we were going to talk about this DC thing happening. That's not in your contract.
I don't remember signing a goddamn contract, sir.
I want to keep this joke going, but it's been a minute. Well, yeah.
Oh, shit. Mm-hmm. Well, with all that being said, homies, welcome back to the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I am here with the good homie Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is up? Welcome back. How's your week been? All the good things, etc. We love you guys. What is good?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we've been talking about Disney and all that and things to come in the future with the X-Men, and we're super excited about that, obviously. But there are things coming this year that could have big implications for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the first of those movies to come out this year that could heavily influence the MCU moving forward is none other than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Hell yeah.
Quantumania.
What does that even mean? What does Quantumania even fucking mean?
So that's one thing I want to talk about right off the bat.
What's that? Before I say it, what's that?
The name, like when the movie was first announced, I was like, here we go, another jokey Ant-Man movie. Let's see what in the fuck shenanigans he gets up to this time. But after seeing the trailers, specifically that second trailer, I'm like, that name does not match the tone that I'm getting from this movie.
How many times did they say the word quantum in the trailer?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thankfully, my brain has not been programmed to keep count with that. But this is going to be a preview for Ant-Man 3. I believe it comes out February 17th, if memory serves correct. So that means 16th for, most of you guys who go to the theaters Thursday night. But I also wanted to take this opportunity to put a heavier focus on Kang the Conqueror.
Okay.
And then if time permits, wanted to watch that second trailer that just came out a few days ago.
Hell yeah.
And see if we can analyze some things here.
Well, I got the time. Let's go and press play.
All right. Do you want to watch the trailer first? And
Oh,
then,
fuck yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what the second option is, but fuck yeah. What are we doing? Of course I want to watch this thing again. Yeah. There you go. Homie Q is getting the laptop and everything. I mean, homies, what would you pick? You want to talk first or trailer first? Fuck yeah, trailer first. This is awesome. But yeah, man. Also, real quick, I'm going to give a plug while Q is doing this. Recently, I had the distinct honor to guest
Fuck the Tavern Notice board. You guys definitely shouldn't check out the Tavern Notice board.
Motherfucker!
I have said that the Tavern Notice board.
I'm going to choke you.
Go ahead.
I got to be on an episode of the Tavern Notice board held by ours truly, the homie Oz. He is hosting a great podcast. It is off to an amazing start. I got to be a very fun guest on a very fun episode where Oz and I broke down, as a D&D player, especially one who's looking for another table, how the fuck do you find a good table? Like, what makes it, hey, I found this table to play at, I don't know what it's going to be like, versus, oh man, this table right here, I'm so excited to join them. It's going to be amazing, So what's the difference there? And luckily, we have a whole episode talking about that.
Yeah, I got to check that out. I'm probably going to listen to that one tomorrow. I've been meaning to get that a listen. Hell yeah. So definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, if you guys have not already checked out Tavern Notice board, be sure and go ahead and do that. Stop being losers. Check it out.
Hell yeah. That's right. Play D&D.
Yeah, bunch of goddamn losers. What do you mean you're not playing D&D?
That's right.
All right, Kevin, you ready to check out this trailer here?
Hell yeah, I'm ready to check out this trailer here.
It's my goddamn mouse. Here it is.
It's with Nathaniel Bard.
You're an interesting man, Scott Lang.
Fucking
You're an Avenger.
Paul Rudd.
You have a daughter. But you've lost a lot of time. Like me.
I like to point out, just right off the bat, like the ambiance of this trailer feels different than any other Ant-Man trailer that we've gotten. Like there's no jovial music in the background. It's definitely more sombersome. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is maybe the first Ant-Man trailer where Scott Lang isn't talking about his life, and now it's Kang talking.
Yeah. I don't know. We'd have to put up the old ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But everything about this seems heavier, more consequential, more serious this time around. And who knows, maybe Marvel is realizing now that, okay, our jokey joke era where everything is so lighthearted and
We kind of dried that out. Like
Yeah.
that well is out, and we cannot go back to it.
And I just want to say this one thing, then we'll definitely keep this thing going. But there is a fine line to that, right? Because if everything feels super serious, then nothing feels serious, and it feels like they're just taking themselves too seriously. But if everything feels like a goddamn joke, then it's like, what's the point? Mm-hmm. So
You gotta find the balance.
there is a balance. Yeah.
We can help each other with that. Who are you? I'm the man who can give you the one thing you want. What's that? Time.
So that's a good spot to pause that on. Actually, couple other notes here.
Okay.
That I had. One being that if you look at this trailer and then also look at the first trailer for this, we can definitely surmise that there's some kind of deal being made between Scott and Kang here, where it seems like Kang wants Scott to retrieve
He
something.
wants Scott to give him Boardwalk. But really, he needs to trade up that Indiana Avenue. I can remember.
You don't play enough Monopoly.
I really don't. I had to pull it out my ass. Indiana Avenue. I think that's a red property though. Final answer. I know Boardwalk, Park Place, the railroads. He wants the railroads.
Oh, okay.
They're really the shittiest property in the whole goddamn game. There's. Yeah, you were doing
what the hell was I saying here?
I was talking about Monopoly, and then you were saying.
Yeah, before
deal.
you mentioned
The
Monopoly.
deal.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
yeah,
you. Okay, the deal.
Yes. We're good. We're good partners in this crime.
Yep. But yeah, so I was wondering, what is this deal? Because like I have an idea of what Kang is offering Scott, but the question that was really intriguing me was, what in the world did Kang want Scott to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas?
No idea.
Any theories?
No. You wanted Casey.
I'm pretty sure that's
Oh,
off the board, and that's a little yeah. I don't know how.
that's not even off the board. That actually got thrown out of bounds. Yeah.
Yep. But so not sure. Last time I saw Casey, she was like 12.
Well, in the trailer, we see that she's older.
She's older now, but yeah.
But
yeah.
no, in other words, serious guess, I have no idea. I really don't.
So
Maybe he wants
I
Cap's
was
autograph.
I was out of guesses too, actually, up until I saw this part of the trailer.
Okay.
and,
So he
this-
wants out. He wants to be freed. Because
In a
this,
roundabout way, yes.
yeah,
yes.
yeah, I was about to say, because this looks like an imprisoning structure, whatever this is. But let me get that exposition, bro.
Yeah, and maybe for the MCU, this will be constructed to be a prison more so. But I'm trying to remember what they call this place. I believe they called it was it Chronopolis? Chronopolis, Bob. That's what I'm thinking of.
Chronopolis, like Chronos, the
Yeah.
city of time.
Yeah, Chronopolis.
Okay. I mean, logistically, it makes sense
Yeah.
when you break it down like that. So sure.
Chronopolis was a place in the MCU, in the Marvel Comics universe, and it wasn't like it wasn't a place within like the quantum realm. It was a place that was in like the kind of like the microverse. It was like a place between places, so to speak. Okay. So like kind of like in a similar realm to where you find like the TVA or like ultra beings of reality. That's kind of where you'd find like Chronopolis.
Okay.
But it is a place technically being of immense power, because if utilized in a certain way, it can be used to obviously like control certain things in the time stream or whatnot. But like the only thing that I really know about Chronopolis is it was in one of the Kang storylines I was reading a few months ago. Okay. Just trying to finally get a goddamn leg up and brush up on some of this shit that I've been less familiar with. But there was a Kang story where it was Immortus, another variant of Kang that we'll talk about later on, wanted to acquire this thing called is it the Forever Stone, the Forever Crystal? It's another one of those immense, powerful artifacts in Marvel Comics. I believe it was the Forever Crystal.
Okay.
Or Forever Stone, one of the two. Forever Crystal sounds better. But essentially, I believe it was Kang who actually acquired it, and he put the city of Chronopolis within that stone, and what that allowed him to do, theoretically, would be to erase certain universes that he didn't want to deal with anymore, to alter or change certain universes. Basically, it's like a super powerful reality stone in that regard.
Okay.
It's the way that it functioned. Now, within the realms of the MCU, I'm thinking that Kang is stuck in the quantum realm, which is why we haven't seen him in the MCU so far. I think he's stuck here. I think that we see them get sucked into the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And then they run into Kang.
We also see, the Wasp's mother, whomever she is, I can't remember.
Janet.
Technically the original Wasp.
The original Wasp. Yeah.
She kind of like sees them experimenting in the garage structure, whatever it is. And she's like, wait a minute, what is this thing going to do? Oh, where's it going to take you? Oh, no, we cannot do that. And then it happens.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember that being a very memorable scene.
Yeah.
So it makes sense as like, oh, no, we can't do that, ... because my boy Kang the Conqueror is there. And then continuing to just kind of like self-exposit and write our own shit for this movie that obviously, has their own stuff that they wrote. Because we can't go into this quantum realm because Kang the Conqueror is there because he's imprisoned in this Chronopolis. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what they'll do?
It may be like the Forever Crystal will allow him to escape.
Right. And not
yeah.
only escape, but escape all powerful with whatever powers they're going to give this Forever Crystal that won't make it seem like something we just experienced.
Exactly. That's going to be the difference.
That's the flavor I was getting. It's like, oh, brother, that sounds great, like Rocky Road, but that's what they just gave me from the last 12-year build-up,
Right.
Yeah. In other words, an item of all power giving this highly effective and highly powerful being himself more power.
Right.
Thank you, Chronopolis, to do whatever big overarching goal thing that they want to do. So who knows?
What is Kang's goal, you think?
To fuck over everything and chew gum. And he's all out of gum.
Well,
I don't know. I have no idea. I make things up. I bullshit, Q.
Well, let us continue.
Let's continue. Let's see.
I can rewrite existence.
Okay. That looked like Chronopolis.
Yeah.
You cannot trust him.
So Kang is to timelines as Wanda is to reality.
Yeah, Wanda at her most powerful. Yeah.
Right.
Second chance.
A second chance with what?
February 17th. Good. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think he wants a second chance to be with his daughter. There's a few context clues that we see here in this trailer.
Oh, where they lost time.
They lost time.
Well,
yeah.
how much time did they lose? Like
5 years.
5 years?
With his daughter? She went from being like 12 to 17.
Maybe I've watched too much Rick and Morty in my time, but that's not a lot of time. 5 years?
I mean, so I'm not a parent, but I imagine that if
it is apparent to me.
If I lost my child for 5 years, that would kind of really suck balls.
This is true.
Yeah. And so I imagine that he wants that time back because also we see at the beginning of this trailer, it looked like he was picking his daughter up from jail, like she had gotten into some trouble.
That's
and
true.
he's probably thinking, first of all, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And he was probably also thinking that, man, had I been there for my daughter throughout those formative years, maybe I could have done something more. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I think he just wants another chance with his kid.
I mean, that makes sense. Because it's like, oh, you want time? I can undo and rewrite and give you opportunity again.
Right.
And Casey's going to be like, man, what the fuck? I was able to drive. Yeah. I was able to smoke and drink. And here I am as a goddamn 8-year-old again. Casey, watch your language. No, you watch your language, Dad. That's cool.
Yeah.
You will bring me what I need. Or everything you call a life will end.
it does look like he's not taking a back seat this go around, which I like.
Is good.
Yeah, like, and feel free to pause it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I would love to see is something that resembles a healthy partnership.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't get enough of that in the MCU. And the MCU, as popular and as powerful of a franchise as it is, I feel like we could see a superhero couple, not just in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but a healthy superhero couple in the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Because heaven knows we didn't get it for Ant-Man and the Wasp, the first collective of theirs. Because that was, every guy in this movie is a dope, and every chick in this movie is the only competent character in this movie. You know?
It was very. I mean, the word of the year is very jarring. To see that.
Yeah.
And because you're right, like that is one of the many major flaws of the Ant-Man sequel, is that all of the skills that he showed us in Ant-Man 1 were gone.
Yep.
And if you just watch Ant-Man 2, you walk away from that thinking anyone can be Ant-Man. You just need the suit.
Like, literally, like, if Paul Rudd could be Ant-Man, because Adam Scott wasn't in this daggone movie.
Scott Lang,
that's what I said. What'd you say? He wasn't in this movie. Then, thank you. Then, we literally just got Paul Rudd being himself. And no offense, Paul Rudd's cool, but it'd be nice to show a couple that can actually work with one another, be mutually beneficial, and thus augment and make better one another. And that's why I want out of this, because it's like, no, I don't want the guy to be more powerful, more competent, more effective, etc., whatever, than the girl. I want him to be more than her. I don't want vice versa either. That's not equality. That's not representation. That's fucking,
it's lunacy.
Thank you.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
And you know what, to go back to something you said earlier, I actually would have preferred if Ant-Man 2 had just Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd. I think that would have been an improvement. I don't think that Paul Rudd is an absolute buffoon in real life. He's an absolute buffoon in that movie.
That's true. No, he obviously knows what he's about in real life. When the camera turns on, he's the lovable goof and but that makes sense. Yeah.
But that is also a really good point you make up about like the dynamic there, and it is bizarre how Hollywood has consistently struggled with that.
Right. And it's like, I get it, because sometimes it's easy and nice to pander to a certain group of audience. That way you can, like, claim that your movie makes a point and it stands on something and all this and that. But then it's like, well...
That doesn't matter if the movie's dog shit, though.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter if the movie's dog shit. And then, two, it doesn't matter if it doesn't actually further your propaganda or if it hinders your propaganda worse off,
And that is the risk that they run that they don't think about. Where it's like, if you are trying to, and I'm not accusing like any MC movies in particular of doing this, but just for Hollywood in general,
sure.
If they're trying to push some type of social messaging, but the movie ends up being shitty, then you end up hurting that message.
Exactly.
Because now you have an audience that resents you and partly your message, because they feel like the message is the problem, when in reality, the problem is the presentation.
And one would hope that they wouldn't get it confused, but no, like that can be confused. Yeah. I mean, think about like Captain Marvel. That movie tried to push the idea of feminism and everything like that, but
Brie Larson, she sacrificed that movie.
She really did
by telling, saying that I don't want any man to go watch this movie. Well, bitch.
Yeah. It's like, no, you're kind of missing the point here.
Yeah. She definitely sacrificed that movie on an altar for who knows what. Mm-hmm. Let's continue this trailer here.
Let's do it.
You may not want her to watch this. We had a deal. You thought you could win. I don't have to win. We both just have to lose. I'm sorry, Cassie.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else,
the tone is set.
Yeah.
The tone is there. It's very serious, very focused.
Right. I guess a couple of things here. One being that MODOK, what you think?
I liked how they actually made him a little bit more menacing and less derpy looking.
So unfortunately,
Oh, dude.
there, and this may be like the one thing. I got to be honest. 9 times out of 10, if you told me that MODOK's going to be in the movie, I'm going to be hyped to see it regardless because it's fucking MODOK. MODOK, guys, for those who don't know, he had his own show on Hulu for a while. Some of you may have seen him there.
Yeah.
But he is the most bizarre looking villain that you will ever see in Marvel Comics. He's literally a giant floating head with a stubby little body who's on a floating hover chair. They changed quite a bit here for this version of MODOK. First major change here is that one, in the comics, MODOK is a guy named George Tarleton. His father created AIM, Advanced Ideal Mechanics, and AIM created the first cosmic cube used in Marvel Comics. And they used that cosmic cube to experiment on George to give him a greater intellect. Good news is it worked. Bad news is he became goddamn MODOK.
He became all head.
He became
no torso.
No, nothing else really. The most bizarre looking motherfucker that you will ever see in a comic book. And MODOK is an acronym. Originally stood for Mental Organism Designed Only for Computing, and is most commonly known as MODOK with the K, Mental Organism Designed Only for Killing. So that's kind of like the brief synopsis of the origin of MODOK. But in the movie here, MODOK is not George Carlton, member of AIM. George Carlton, Kevin, is your favorite villain, Darren Cross, Yellow Jacket.
What?
Yes, and
Darren Cross is MODOK?
He is MODOK in this movie. There's a as a matter of fact, there is a still image online that you can find of him as MODOK, and I got to be honest, dare I say it doesn't look derpy. It looks bad in that one still image, but maybe that's just that one image going around that looks terrible. Maybe everything else about MODOK looks really good. I don't know. I
noticed they had him like shaded out all black.
Yeah, well, they had him like with that helmet on. I assume they were waiting for like the big reveal, like who or what is that, and then the helmet comes off and you see is Darren Cross from Ant-Man 1.
Pull up the picture. I need to see this.
Yes.
Disney, when we said do better by your villains, this is not what we meant. This is not what we were speaking of.
Yeah. It was it was quite the bizarre turn of events here.
Whatever you're about to show me is going to equate to whether or not I have a headache now, and I just need to go to bed.
You can't just go to bed, Kevin.
I can totally go. Do you know who the fuck you're talking to?
You know what? That's a solid point.
I can very much just go to bed. Go to bed right here in this chair. Pass the fuck out.
Well, the problem is that like you rarely choose to, and it just happens.
That's right. It's my superpower. I don't know how to control it.
It's involuntary.
I don't know how to control it. I need Giancarlo Esposito to go be Xavier so I can learn how to use my power.
All right, let me see here. That's from the Avengers game.
Yep.
I hope that they haven't tried to take down the images because it was a leak image.
Okay.
We are not young to the microphone, homies. That was an audio issue.
Yep. What Q said. Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna let you keep looking.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, you got it. Oh, good timing. Okay.
So you can see. Oh, what the fuck did it go? Here it goes. You see him here in the background. And the thing that I don't like about this the most is it looks like he's hanging out with the protagonist. So
yeah, it just looks like he's chilling with everybody. Yeah.
So there's good news and bad news about that. The good news is I do not think that Scott Lang will be the comic relief in his own movie anymore. The bad news is think that role is probably going to go to MODOK, and that he's going to be repurposed as some kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, reformed villain turned, I don't know.
Turned yoga instructor.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Hopefully it's not that bad.
So I have a headache. Admittedly, that last one kind of gave it to myself, but, you know, I got to go to bed.
Oh, yeah. And here we see a picture of the man himself. And, yeah, you can actually look it up. I forget the actor's real name, but, it's been confirmed he is coming back as MODOK. Yeah. I mean, and you know what? I'm trying to withhold judgment until I see the final product here and see what they do with them. But man, it's gonna be a tough sell to see what they do here with MODOK. You know,
I've been made uncomfortable.
You've been made uncomfortable.
I've been made uncomfortable, brother. I don't know, man. I don't know. It makes no sense because it's like, homies. First off, I've spent so many episodes making fun of Darren Cross.
Mm-hmm.
I have belligerently made fun of this man and said, hey, you want an idea of a shitty villain? Go watch Ant-Man. By definition, I dropped Yellow Jacket's name constantly. Mm-hmm. And so now it's like, of all the things to Marvel to do, they pull out the one fucking villain that I made so much fun of, and that I said, hey, this is an example of the worst villain in the MCU, and they pull him back out. And what happens? They potentially make him the comic relief bullshitter character, like potentially the
just
fucking
assuming.
minion to Kang himself.
Maybe he might be. I don't know. I will say this. I hope that it looks better than that picture, because that just looks like his face has been superimposed and stretched. You know, he doesn't look mutated like MODOK should. Mm-hmm. So my problem with the way that and there's been people trying to defend it, saying, but MODOK looks derpy in the comic books. Yeah, but he looks that look is not derpy in the movie. That look is just bad. Mm-hmm. Like, I need the MCU to leave the bad CG in Phase 4.
I would have rather them pull out Patton Oswalt to reprise the role.
Yeah.
Because Patton Oswalt was the voice actor for the cartoon MODOK, of which you were talking of earlier for Hulu.
Yeah.
And here we are with not that.
So we have to assume that there's a reason why Darren Cross is MODOK. And if I'm being honest, I don't remember what happened to him at the end of. Oh, I do remember he shrunk and he kept shrinking. So technically, yeah, he would have wound up, I guess, in the quantum realm.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Quentin,
Yes, bud.
why do you do these things? Give me good news. Let's talk about something good for the movie. Let's move on.
Hey, you know, we've spoken about a lot of good for the movie.
Okay.
There's just, just the MODOK thing. And we don't have a whole lot of information about MODOK yet.
What do you think is going to be Kang's motivation?
MODOK.
All right, well, good night, homies. This headache is irreparable. I'm done.
I think that Kang's motivation is going to be his long lost love interest, Ravonna Renslayer. His
alliteration.
It is, yeah. Yeah, and she actually was in one of your favorite TV shows, Loki. Man, that look you shot me, brother. Looked like you wanted to tell me to step outside. But yeah, Ravonna was technically used in the Loki TV show. She was like the head chick in charge of the TVA, and come to find out, she was working for He Who Remains, which in the MCU is a Kang variant. In the comic books, Ravonna she does come from the same time frame as Kang, the 31st century. The difference though is that she's a princess there, and MODOK is in love with her, but that love is unrequited. Like, she does not reciprocate the feelings, at least not at first. And then they have, if I'm being honest, it's kind of a toxic on again, off again type thing. I'll say this really quick, and then we can kind of talk about like the history here of Kang and what we expect to see him do in the movie. But one of in all like my readings of like reading various Fantastic Four stories and Avenger stories, and even gotta be honest, some Young Avenger stories. One of my favorite moments. I love moments from old comic books because some of them are so unintentionally funny. But one of my favorite Kang moments came from like an earlier issue of Avengers.
Okay.
Where his love interest Ravonna, she had gotten mortally wounded and shot, and so he kind of pulled in Mr. Freeze and he put her in like a cryostasis.
Makes sense.
And he was the most like repentant I'd ever seen Kang the Conqueror. Like, he really cared about this woman. And he goes to the Grand Master, and he goes, I really like, please provide me with the power over life and death. And Grandmaster goes, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have this big tournament, and if your team wins, then I'll give you what you want. I'll amuse you. And so Kang actually fights alongside the Avengers.
Okay.
And they have this whole contest. There's some shenanigans that go on. I forget exactly what happened, but the Avengers and Kang, they win, but like kind of on a technicality because they didn't like get like a clean sweep. And the Grand Master goes, well, here's what I do for you. I give you temporary power over life or death, whichever you want. And Kang goes, I'm going to choose death, and I'm going to kill the Avengers. So the motherfucker could have brought back his love, the love of his life.
Damn, that spite was strong.
And instead, he tries to kill the Avengers. And that shit was hilarious. Hilarious.
That's funny.
Villain's gonna villain, man. Villains are gonna villain.
Villain's gonna villain.
Yeah.
That does bring me to a question. So earlier you had made mention of the drop that a variant of Kang was in Loki alongside the potential love interest. That does beg the question, what is the scale? What is the rating, a yes or a no, that we're going to have to watch Loki to fully comprehend and appreciate Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
I would say next to none, really. Like the connective tissue between the Disney Plus shows and the movies have been flimsy at best.
Good.
Like the only show that I think is required viewing will maybe be, you probably should watch WandaVision before you watch Multiverse of Madness.
Agreed.
Otherwise, you'd be wondering what the fuck happened to Wanda.
Agreed. Okay. Yeah.
But other than that, I can't think of any that one would need to watch for these movies.
Good. Because if someone ever told me I needed to watch Loki, I probably wouldn't have known that person talking to me.
Well, Kevin, you bring up an excellent point, and because I don't want the homies to have to suffer through that bullshit of a TV show, I will go ahead and tell you guys the differences between Kang in the comics versus what we got in the Loki TV show.
Awesome.
So when we see the variant Kang in the Loki TV show, we see him in the last episode, and he goes by the name of He Who Remains. Now, this was actually an amalgamation of a couple of different comic book characters. In the comics, He Who Remains is an entity. Is highly believed that he's probably a relative to the One Above All, hence the names, the One Above All, He Who Remains, and like their kind of immense power scales. But the One Above All is not a Kang variant in the comic books. He's not any kind of variant. He looks like an old ass lemon. Like, he looks like
Lemon grab.
he looks like if you take a lemon, dehydrate it, and sit that motherfucker in the sun for like 78 days straight.
It's already dehydrated. Wait a minute.
Yes, that's kind of what it looks like to me.
Life gives you lemons, creates the lemon fucking sun-dried, dehydrated villains.
Yep. But the one above all, I mean, not the one above all, but He Who Remains is like the absolute head guy of the TVA. And so the Loki show did actually do some research to get that. But the other character who they combined him with is definitely more obvious, and that is Immortus. That is another variant or another version of Kang the Conqueror. Immortus is actually the version of Kang that is the older, more established version. So the time traveler known as Immortus is like Kang the Conqueror, who has even more experience, who's been around even longer. He's older. And they took the characters of Immortus and He Who Remains and kind of combined them into one. And they used Kang in like his kind of weird expository speech that he gives in the Loki TV show. They're definitely positioning Kang to be more of a multiversal threat, more so than a time traveling threat. And I'm not sure if that's intentional or if they mean to intermingle the two, interchange the two. I don't know.
I hope not, because then it's like, I don't know. We live in a day and age where like so many time travel multiversal theory stories have been made more commonplace. And so if you keep interchanging the two, then neither of them are really going to matter, because we know you're just breaking them down purely for their plot thread capabilities versus, actually using the science in your writing.
It takes a lot of creativity to get Kang. It takes a lot of creativity. And it takes a lot of research. Two things that a lot of writers for the MCU don't like to do.
Yep.
They don't like to do their research because fans are bad, and they don't like to be creative because look at Phase 4.
Right.
Anyways, enough of me throwing shade at the Phase 4. So that is kind of an interesting difference, and maybe there is some bleed over there between like multiversal theory versus time travel theory, because technically Kang the Conqueror, the way that he's been used in the comic books is he goes by like the kind of like the branching theory, or you can say like the future Trunks theory.
Okay.
Where like future Trunks goes back in time, kills the androids, kills Cell, but then he goes back to his own timeline, and his own timeline is still fucked up. Yeah. He saved a timeline, but the one that he himself comes from, that's a different branch.
That's still fucked. Yeah.
And technically in Infinity War, they touched on that when Bruce Banner was kind of talking about the different ways that they could kind of time travel to do the time heist. Yeah. So we know that that's kind of a thing already established. So I'm assuming that they're going to continue to stick with that, which consistency is good. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like what else you need to know from the Loki TV show, I would say almost nothing. I doubt that. I'm confident in saying that anything that you would need from the Loki TV show will be expounded upon very clearly in whatever movie needs to be expounded in. So
agreed. Marvel tends to do a good job with that. So
So a little bit about Kang the Conqueror here, guys. You will never believe this, but he was actually created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Okay. Yep.
Alliteration. Nope, don't believe you.
His first appearance was in Fantastic Four issue 19 way back in 1963. Okay. And his origin story is one that I actually like quite a bit because it's been revamped but never outright changed. Okay. Thank goodness. So it's interesting because his real name is Nathaniel Richards. And he has a descendant named Nathaniel Richards who is related to Reed Richards. And so it is highly speculated that Kang the Conqueror is a far-flung descendant of Reed Richards. He comes from the 31st century, and it's kind of a false utopia, a fool's heaven, fool's paradise. Because in the 31st century, there are no problems. There are no food issues. There's no, any issue you can think of, any type of medicine,
global warming. They have alternative fuels.
They got it all to a fault.
They have a single world currency, world peace,
All
solve
that good
world
shit.
hunger, got rid of political systems.
No poverty.
Oh, got rid of the fucking borders between countries. That way there's no, like, quote unquote, permitted or only travel. What else can we do here? They listen to Rage Against the Machine. What else?
DoorDash doesn't hit them with all different types of fees. You know.
DoorDash. Yeah. Oh, you don't have to pay for fucking food because it's just critical for survival. Medicine is free.
Yep, they got medicine. I mean, they got
Single party government that actually does its job.
What? Advanced technology. I mean, they got it all. The issue is that little Nathaniel, when this story really picks up, he's about 16 years old. Little Nathaniel Richards, he's bored. He's bored out of his mind, mostly because he has no challenges. Like, there's no challenge in his life. And, there's always been the notion presented that if all of your needs were met, would you rise to your creative best, or would you just be bored with life, or would you just not fulfill? And I think it varies from person to person.
I agreed. That's exactly what I was about to kind of explain, because like I think it changes from person to person, and I wouldn't know how to answer that because all my needs are not met.
Right.
Because I'm a human being in this day and age, and I'm a needy motherfucker.
Right.
That's right. You heard it here.
It's like, for some people, and Kang is one of those people, the need to thrive is necessary. And he doesn't have that because all of his needs are met. And so he's bored out of his mind. And there's one day where, like, there's these bullies. There's always bullies, but they go too far with him one day and they beat the shit out of him. And at that point, he's like, all right, I've had enough. And he goes and does some more digging. He does some more research, and he finds like these old blueprints created by none other than Victor Von Doom. And these are blueprints for a time machine. And he was like, oh shit. Now, because Nathaniel, he was like, even for his day and age, the kid was fucking smart. He's able to put together this time machine eventually. And what he does is he goes, and the time machine that he builds, you have to ask Jack Lee, I won't say Jack Lee. You have to ask Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. That's their pseudo pen name.
That's it.
You have to ask Stan and Jack about the creative decision as to why they did this, but the time machine he built looked like a sphinx. Yeah, like one you see in Egypt. Gotta love the 60s.
Because sphinx are cool.
They are cool as fuck. And this also led to another fucking moment that was not supposed to be hilarious, but I thought was fucking amazing. But Kang, he does build this time machine that looks like a fucking sphinx. And he travels back to the days of ancient Egypt. And the reason he goes back to ancient Egypt is because, I mean, he wants to see what it's like to be a fucking ruler. He goes back in time and he adopts the name of the Pharaoh Ramatut. And the reason why he goes back to ancient Egypt is because he wants an heir. And the heir that he has in mind is a guy by the name of En-Sabanur. En-Sabanur, as some of you may know, is...
Man, this guy just took a tour with all the biggest baddies he could find. Hey, Vic, what's going on, Mr. Doom? You doing good, bro? Oh, doctor. Oh, look at you with the pedigree. Okay. Wait, let me get that time machine. Oh, man, look at this awesome-ass Egypt-looking shit. Well, oh, man, apocalypse? Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have that word yet. English isn't a thing. Don't worry about it. Well, hey.
Yep.
Who else did he meet? Fucking Mephisto, the Swan?
Well, he technically has not met Dr. Doom yet. But,
I know. I'm just kind of being facetious, but yeah.
He wants to make he wants to make En-Sabanur his heir because he knows that this motherfucker is going to be a powerful ass ally. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, the Fantastic Four show up and they thwart his plans, and then we get one of the most hilarious panels, unintentionally hilarious panels that I've seen. So much so that I had to save it.
Give me power over death. I'm gonna fuck over Fantastic Four too.
I probably everybody getting fucked over today. But no, so as his plans are being thwarted by the Fantastic Four, He hops into like his escape pod and he leaves. He takes off,
which is a helicopter,
and it is not a helicopter. But as he's leaving in like his time capsule, he says, "I shall leave my Sphinx behind to mystify mankind for centuries to come. And when I leave, the memory of my reign shall fade into oblivion as though I have never been here." In other words, he's saying, I'm going to leave this goddamn Sphinx here, so for centuries, people are going to wonder, where in the fuck did the Sphinx come from? That's a dick-ass move, man.
That's a dick-ass move.
Dick move.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
He's literally just like, I'm going to think 5 steps ahead. These motherfuckers going to be like, aliens came to help build this shit.
They'll never know it was just me. I'm a goddamn time traveler. I built this thing.
Victor Von Doom looking at it later like, no, wait a minute. That looks familiar.
Holy shit. But yeah, so eventually, he does meet Dr. Doom. And it's shortly after he leaves the Fantastic Four era, he goes into modern day. He runs into Dr. Doom, and the two meet, and they have a lot in common. So much so in common that they realized that either one or two possibilities, either A, Nathaniel Richards is actually just a version of Dr. Doom, or B, more likely, Nathaniel Richards is actually a descendant of Doom. And I do applaud Marvel Comics because they've never said one way or another who this man is technically a direct descendant of. Is it Reed Richards or is it Doom? Or is it both? Yeah, we don't know. Yeah. But while he's there, he gets the idea for another short-lived identity. Hey, listen, you got to rebrand Kevin until you get it right.
So what has Kang conquered? Oh, man, he's just conquered trying to hijack other people's stuff.
So he's not Kang the Conqueror yet.
Yeah, because he hasn't conquered enough people's stuff. You got to steal the actual like hijinks and MO of a number of people before you become a conqueror.
That is true. So he gets the idea from Dr. Doom, or by being around Doom, and he adopts another identity called the Scarlet Centurion, and his getup looks kind of similar to that of Doom, and he has a suit similar to that of Doom. He battles the Avengers, and eventually he's beaten by the Avengers, and he's forced from that timeline. And he means to go back to his timeline in the 31st century. But instead, he encounters an error on the time stream, and he slips, and he travels 1,000 years further into the future. So now he's from the future of his own future. And it's here that he sees that Earth is war-torn. Like the place that he came from is just absolutely being ravaged. And people have advanced technology, but he realizes quickly that the people on Earth in that far-flung future, they don't know how to properly use that technology. And so he's able to quickly and quite easily rule these people and conquer these people. And this is where he acquires the name Kang the Conqueror. And so, yes, now he finally has the rebrand that we all know him as. And so now after he's taken over so many roles in the future, he decides this is kind of bullshit because Earth is fucked up here in this future. I want to go to a time and place where Earth is still valuable. And which is why, you know, primarily he's always a menace to our modern day comics because he wants to take over this Earth. So things get more interesting here because eventually he does. I already mentioned the story about Ravonna, Renslayer, and about how he chose to try to kill the Avengers over try to saving her. But that is his on again, off again love interest. He's actually had another. It's not a love interest, close enough. He's had another interest here. The next notable story here that's of importance is when he wants to find and mate with a character who is known as the Celestial Madonna. Now that terminology has been going around in Marvel Comics for quite some time. The question is, who is the Celestial Madonna? I'll give you guys a hint. If you play the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, you know who the Celestial Madonna is. It's Mantis. She's the Celestial Madonna. People thought it was going to be Scarlet Witch, but no, it's Mantis. Yeah. And the reason why he wants to mate with this Celestial Madonna is because it has been prophesized that she's going to give birth to a very, very powerful heir, very, very powerful child. And if nothing else, this man wants a very, very powerful heir. And thankfully, he's thwarted. They're like, nope, stop. You can't just go around fucking people because you think they're going to give you a powerful ass kid, Kang. That's not how this works. So he doesn't get to sleep with Mantis. You know, sorry, Kang. Maybe next time. And that did have me thinking. I'm like, man, we get Ant-Man 3 in February, but then the next MCU movie we get is Guardians. I'm like, you know, does Kang want to move in to Guardian territory? That would be that'd be interesting. But let's talk a little bit about the power set here of Kang the Conqueror.
Look,
and
I need an intermission, bro.
Yes.
So this motherfucker's MO is all over the goddamn place. Like, we have not picked a lane. This motherfucker said, what do you mean? What do you mean I have to pick a direction? I want all the directions, all the time, every time. And it's like, no, King, you can't do that. And he said, bet, watch, hold my beer.
You know, in a weird way, he has been wildly consistent, and that is
He's wildly consistent, that he's wild.
Wanting powerful heirs has been his consistent MO. To the point where when at least a Kang the Conqueror does have a child, does have Ravonna, his kid Marcus is killed, and that does drive him to kind of turn over a new leaf, at least certain versions of Kang, but not all. We know that originally he wanted Apocalypse as an heir. We know that he wanted to sleep with the Celestial Madonna, Mantis, to give him a powerful heir. We know that he wanted Ravonna and that he thoroughly loved his son, Marcus. That didn't work out.
So MODOK is the heir he gets. Gotcha.
Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. But in terms of like what Kang the Conqueror can do, obviously the man has one of the most advanced suits in comic book history. I mean, we're talking about energy manipulation, force field, extreme durability, time manipulation, time dilation. What's that called? Chronomancy. That's it. Yes. He has obviously things like
Graviturgy?
Actually, yeah, he's has shown to do that. And it's weird that he doesn't do that more often, but yeah, that's the thing that he has. Cool. He's got the power to like take on the Avengers. He's got the power set to go one-on-one with Doom, of all people. The man he's run the fate of a lot of really powerful ass people out here. And there's a reason why he's constantly consistently a thorn in the side of the likes of Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and even Doom himself. But the thing about Kang the Conqueror that's most interesting is that when his origin was like revisited in more recent years, that really tied a lot of things together and kind of modernized him without taking away the essence of who Kang the Conqueror is. And I gotta be honest, like when I was reading that alongside reading like the original run of Young Avengers of all things, I was pleasantly surprised. And that does lead to like the last version of Kang the Conqueror we need to speak on. We've talked about Ramatut, who was the version of Kang when he went back in time to rule ancient Egypt. We've talked about Immortus, who is the version of Kang from the future, who first presents himself as an ally to the Avengers, but in actuality is quite the dickbag still.
Right.
And obviously, we talked about the big bad booty daddy himself, Kang the Conqueror, the most popular version of this character. But there's another version here. We go back in time, or I say back in time. We go back forward in time to the 31st century. And we visit 16-year-old Nathaniel Richards, who would one day become Kang the Conqueror. And he's living a life that is boring because all of his problems are solved. He's a very curious young man. He's a very smart young man, but he's being bullied consistently. Well, when I spoke about this earlier, Kevin, I said he got bullied and one day he got his ass whooped by those bullies. But this day that didn't happen. This day instead, Kang the Conqueror shows up, stops those bullies, and takes in the young Nathaniel Richards for himself. And what ends up happening here is that this young Nathaniel Richards realizes and learns that, oh shit, this guy is me from the future. And Kang is like, yep, I'm you. And let me tell you how you're going to end up and what you're going to do with your life. And so Kang the Conqueror takes Nathaniel Richards, 16-year-old boy, on like the most intense time field trip that you can imagine. And he takes Nathaniel Richards to different battlefields and different areas of his conquest, different places where he's ruled, conquered, and killed. And his motive here is to jumpstart this kid's journey into becoming Kang, so that he can get so he can get more experience as being a conqueror. Okay. And it backfires because that kid never went through the traumatic experience of getting his ass whooped. He never had that vitriol. He never had that spite. And so because of that, he sees all of this shit that the future him does, and he's put off by it. He steals one of Kang's time traveling devices and he goes back to the Avengers era, modern day. Okay. And he goes to modern day in hopes of finding the Avengers, telling them where Kang is, telling them that he needs to be stopped. The problem is, Kevin, this is in 2005 when this story was written. And in 2005, you know what else happened? The Avengers were disassembled. And so there were no Avengers. And so young 16-year-old Nathaniel Richards, he's looking like through like the remainings of like Avengers HQ. Or it may have been a Stark Tower, but I think it was Avengers HQ, the remnants of it. Okay. And there he finds the remnants of Vision. Vision was dead at this time. Okay. And he wants to know what happened because he can't find the Avengers, but he knows from his studies, his history, the Avengers were around. Well, he picked like the one time like the Avengers were gone. And what he does is he tries to upload the Vision's memories to his suit so that he can get an understanding of what happened. And it works. But not only does he get that, he also gets a failsafe that was uploaded to Vision that Vision never got to fulfill. And the failsafe was that if the Avengers ever fail, this is what needs to happen. And that eventually leads to to him gathering together what would become the Young Avengers. And because the idea was that if the Avengers are ever disbanded or dead, we need a group of Avengers. And so he gathers together these group of young kids. And the whole idea behind this is that, okay, our objective is to stop Kang the Conqueror because he's a dickhead. And if we don't, some terrible shit's going to happen. Long story short, they finally encountered the big bad, the BBEG. They encounter Kang the Conqueror, and they fight. And the end result, we see young Iron Lad, who is the character I've been speaking of this whole time. We see young Nathaniel Richards, who has taken the moniker Iron Lad. We see him taking a sword and impaling Kang the Conqueror through the back. And he gets the killing blow technically on himself. He gets the killing blow on Kang. Objective succeeded. Good job. Mission accomplished. The issue with that, however, comes because by killing Kang the Conqueror, he has definitely upset the time stream. And so shit changes immediately. There's like a shift in reality from killing Kang. So now certain members of the Young Avengers, they're they're gone, like they never existed. Jessica Jones.
Popular ones, right?
Well, no, Wiccan was one of them, and some people like Hulkling. I don't really care that much for him, but he was gone too. Jessica Jones' baby was gone. Like those two had never, like her and Luke had just never encountered. And then like there were other things in history that were just fucked up that were wrong. And the thing also to remember here is that one of the members of the Young Avengers was Cassie Lang, Stature, and her and Nathaniel had fallen in love. They had quite the romantic interest in one another, and so this is where young Nathaniel learns a very valuable lesson about being a hero. He first of all he learns that one of the very first thing that Kang told him would have to come true. One of the very first things that Kang told him was, no matter what you do, you will become me. So you might as well embrace this now. That's one thing that he realized. And the other thing he realized was the shitty cost of being a hero. You got to give up the shit that sometimes you want. He would have wanted nothing more than to stay there with Cassie and with the Young Avengers because he had done something with his life that felt meaningful for the first time ever. Now he realizes that the only thing that he can do is go back to his own timeline, become Kang the Conqueror. There is no other way. And so, yeah, they have their tearful goodbye, and that's what he does. He leaves his suit of armor behind, and he travels back to his own timeline to become Kang the Conqueror, and that does set everything else right with the timeline. That is where that particular story of Young Avengers ends, and honestly, they should have left it at that with Iron Lad. That would have been a perfect, fitting ending for that character. But, you know, it's Marvel Comics, so they can never leave well enough alone. So, yeah, long story short, blah, blah, blah. He kind of sort of comes back, and, yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But that initial run of Young Avengers was actually really fucking good.
Okay.
And the character of Iron Lad was way more compelling than I had ever given him credit for. I've only ever read him as like a accessory character, never so much as like a main character. But yeah, so that is a little bit there about Iron Lad and about kind of the bullshit that he has to go through there as well. Another interesting thing here, I believe it's in the first trailer for Quantumania. And then this is definitely a stretch. I don't know what the verbiage here means, but Cassie says, yeah, we built this beacon. She doesn't put an emphasis on we, but she does say we. And I'm like, who helped you build that beacon? Was it a young Nathaniel, or was it another member of the Young Avengers? None of them are smart enough to do it. So was it
My vote's a dog.
a dog?
A dog helped him. Yep. There you go.
All right. Yep.
Nah, man. Kang's been all over the fucking place, dude. Like, what an MO. Jesus Christ.
He's a goddamn time traveler. It'd be weird for a time traveler to not be all over the place.
It would, but admittedly, it'd be a little nice. Jesus Christ, he's done, like, a little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even mention the Council of Kangs, because every time he time travels, he technically creates a new time branch, which creates a new Kang the Conqueror. So there is, in fact, a Council of Kangs.
This sounds like the taken for serious version of Rick.
I believe that's probably where they got it from. I think so. Yeah. The Council of Ricks. Yeah. Yeah.
On that note, okay.
Yes. And so, guys, that is a little bit there of the history of Kang the Conqueror. He's conquered a lot. He's killed a lot. And I wonder what aspects of the character they're going to adapt here for the movie. And it's hard to say just based off these two trailers we got.
Yeah.
It's also hard to say who makes it out of this. We've discussed this before, but Kang, I mean, I don't think that he should lose. I think that at the very least, they get away from Kang. Like, I think that that's like the biggest victory they can hope for.
Like you win by surviving Kang.
Yeah. You know, Ant-Man even dropped the line in the second trailer where he says something like, I don't have to win, I just have to make sure you don't, something to that effect.
I don't have to win. I just have to. We just both have to lose.
That's it. Yeah, we just both have to lose. And who knows? Maybe Kang losing is just a minor setback. I don't know.
I mean, it had to be. This motherfucker's everywhere. God damn. Like, bruh. Go find. It's not that hard to have a kid. I do not know what I'm talking about, homies. Please don't take offense, okay? Have I had a kid? Fuck no. Shout out to all the parents listening out there. Kudos to you guys, because you have your powerful heirs, and you did not have to time travel, hopefully, or multi-dimensional travel, hopefully, or make friends with Apocalypse, that asshole, hopefully. So.
Yes. Yeah, I also wonder.
What's that?
Yeah, I also wonder about like, Kang Dynasty, which is going to be the name of the next Avengers movie. Like, if they do stop Kang here, clearly and obviously he comes back, but I'm like, when he comes back, does he see? Like, there's too many unanswered questions here that this trailer leaves us with. Because like, if Kang does survive, not if, when, because Kang has to fucking live. Even if you can't just reach into the time stream and grab another Kang, like, that just devalues him to me. So he has to live. But if Kang lives, then he has to get out of the quantum realm. How does he do that? And how does he do that with all of our protagonists surviving?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
You think the Ant-Man makes it out?
No, but knowing the Scott Lang, this Paul Rudd type, I honestly believe it's going to be like, he doesn't make it out, but that's because of a vicious sacrifice. Like, he sacrificed himself in some regard, not to like death, but he sacrificed himself where he is no longer amongst the normal realm. Like, he is a permanent part of the quantum realm,
Right.
or multi-dimensional travel bullshit. He lost his way in the Sphinx and couldn't get out. I don't know, somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine something along those lines.
Yeah.
I think that he does make some kind of sacrifice play, specifically to save his daughter, Cassie.
Agreed.
And I think that it postpones Kang's inevitable escape. And then I think that we probably see Scott again in either Kang Dynasty or Secret War.
Okay.
That's what I think. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that Marvel could do with this, but as of now, I don't really know specifically what they have in mind. But hopefully, it's something fucking dope. I mean,
Agreed.
yeah, like they have one of the most well-versed, well-known villains from Marvel Comics, one of the biggest of the big bad threats. So they need to do something with him. And I'm glad that they realized that, okay, this is a guy who needs to be used not just once. We can't just one and done Kang.
Yeah.
Like they kind of did with Ultron.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully he gets a great outing here. I think I don't know if I said this, but I'll definitely say it again. I already like him infinitely more than I liked him in Loki. And it's not just because I don't like the Loki show. I didn't really care for his performance.
Yeah, me neither.
And
Big surprise.
I didn't care for what they gave him to do in the Loki TV show. He just played like that kind of eccentric where it's like you're eccentric because you have so much knowledge, like that type of crazy. That's
stupid.
Yeah,
that's like a lazy D&D character.
Yeah. That's kind of how He Who Remains presenting himself. I don't know. But yeah, I gotta be honest, man. Like I have pretty stout hopes for this Ant-Man movie. Yeah. So just a couple more questions, man. What does this movie need to do in order for you to love it?
Get its writing together, get its shit together, have the villain actually be well flushed out. Know what they're writing for, what they're writing about. Don't pander. That's all. That's all. That's not that much.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Start phase 5 off with the right bang. You know, don't start it off with a disappointing fucking failure of a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be preferred.
That'd be preferred.
Yeah. Interesting note. When the previous Ant-Man movies came out, they were there to end certain phases. Like I believe Ant-Man 1 was came after Age of Ultron. It was the end of phase 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Ant-Man 3 was in a similar position. So, but this is one that is actually kicking off a phase. And so, I mean, positioning in the MCU does mean something. You know, movies are in certain places for a reason. So, yeah. I am definitely cautiously optimistic about this movie. I really dig the tone of the trailers, at least. And again, like, this movie already has a leg up because we have an established villain who is getting the spotlight, whereas Yellow Jacket and Ghost, they never really got the spotlight. There was never anything given to them.
Yeah.
And so we never could really see what those actors could do, or really any unique motive for those two villains. Yeah, again, I think that they're gonna have their hands full. I'll say this: I think that maybe Scott makes the sacrifice play, but like you said, he doesn't die, but he makes the sacrifice play. They might kill off Hank Pym, though. Just throwing that out there.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, is he still alive?
Goddamn. Shit. Sorry, Michael Douglas.
Oh no, Michael Douglas still alive. That's dope. I mean, like the fictional.
Right. Yeah, that he is for now. For now.
Yep.
But
Fish button.
no, yeah, I think that sounded way better than the button. But
Oh, good.
Yep.
Thank you. I practiced.
But yeah, man, you have any other thoughts, theories, or anything about Ant-Man 3 or Kang the Conqueror?
I'm good myself, bro.
What about Immortus?
No.
What about Ramatut?
No.
What about Nathaniel Richards?
Nope.
What about Iron Lad?
Actually, no. Fucking A, dude. So confusing. Yeah.
That's why I'm here, homies. But yeah, this has actually been I was super nervous in like the months leading up to this inevitable breakdown of Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man 3, because Kang has such a fucking long storied history. But yeah, I'm like a little choo-choo train. Or maybe something more adult, or more edgelord. I'm more like the Juggernaut. Once I got moving, I was like, oh shit. So it was a pretty cool journey reading all the different Kang shit and seeing all the different variations of him and where they came from and what their motives are.
Yeah, dude.
But that's going to be all for this one, homies. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode and learned something new and or came up with new cool theories. If so, you guys can hit us up at superherohomies@gmail.com or any of our social media outlets. We are always active, live, and listening.
Hell yeah.
But that would be all for this one, guys. Thank you again for listening in. We will see you guys again next time. But until then, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And of course, I am Superhero Homie Kevin.